It all began where our protagonist can an event happen. His mad boss threw the paperwork on his desk, making a scene, saying that he had been fired for being lazy because he's late. All of his coworkers overheard their conversation. This is Yui Shinonome. He tried to explain that he was working late yesterday doing overtime, but the boss didn't accept his explanation and calling him lazy, which got him irritated. So Yui dropped the baggage as he collected his things. He explained that the 2 pages already had the data perfectly, as he described that humans are weak, and he asked why they have to keep dragging each other down. So his boss was mad and asked what he was talking about, which Yui clarified that he was done on him. While exiting the place, he told his boss that he was quitting, and the boss warned him not to come with him if he couldn't pay his loan back. Yui headed to the train station while walking, as he felt nothing and wanted to quit that job for a while. But then he received a notification from his phone stating that the bank had deducted his debt for 260,000 yen, and he had a remaining balance, which 400,000 yen. So Yui decided to find looking for a new job. Yui noticed that the train started to go, and he quickly rushed in with his baggage. As he was inside, he was glad that he made it, while a man beside looked serious, and he noticed the familiar badge that the man had, wondering if he was working in BFA. BFA's formal name was Bureau of Fairy Affairs, an organization established after spirits began to intervene in human life, causing ordinary people to contract with them and become spirit users, which led to a loss of order in human society, and its symbolic triangle crest represents how the BFA maintains social order. Yui thought that BFA was just an organization in name only, but suddenly the people started to push him, causing him to be annoyed, so he noticed that he had already arrived and quickly got off the train. Later on, Yui was struggling to carry the baggage as he wondered why it was heavy, and due to annoyance, Yui unintentionally kicked his baggage as it quickly rolled to the ground, making him so much more irritated. Suddenly, the baggage was opened as it was covered in a dazzling light, so Yui quickly checked it, and to his surprise, the baggage contained an egg that started to shake on its own, causing Yui to panic as he thought it was going to hatch. But then the egg started to float in midair, and our poor boy wondered what was going on. But then he recalled the BFA staff earlier and realized they might accidentally exchange their bags. Suddenly, the egg started to fall, and Yui quickly dove to catch it. He also managed to catch it, so he placed it in the sun when he noticed something odd about it. It formed into likely a person. Yui was mesmerized by the egg and described that inside was an old man of bad taste, as he pondered if it belonged to the BFA earlier, when suddenly, a thick black smoke had slowly released from the egg. Not long after, a man had appeared on the scene as he seemingly chuckled. His name was King Wendom as he celebrated that he had returned to this world. King Wendom called Yui, asking if he was the one who awakened him, and Yui was confused, explaining he didn't do anything. So King Wendom explained that he was asleep for nearly 100 years, absorbing the power of the natural world, and he was the verge of hatching but hit an emergency wall as Yui was the one who broke that wall for him. Yui thought that King Wendom was a genie and asked if he could grant him 3 wishes, but King Wendom clarified that he wasn't a genie in a lamp, but King Wendom told him that he could grant him a similar reward, and Yui asked what he meant by it. So King Wendom explained that he was a spirit king who ruled over all the spirits once, and he was possessed the world's most powerful ability, and it called the power of materialization, and once he form a contract with him, it will be able to use a power as he asked if he could use the power of spirit. Yui recalled the time when Zai died because of that power. He doubted that he would ever fall into that evil power, so Yui declined his offer and advised him to find someone else. So King Wendom got offended that the power of a spirit should be an object of envy. Still, Yui just thanked him that he didn't need any of that, as he needed some help to put it on if good enough for him. King Wendom didn't give it up there, and told him if he made a contract with him, everything would go smoothly just the way he wanted. But Yui got annoyed and told him that he was persistent as he couldn't dare to deal on. King Wendom didn't know what to do as he needed to form a contract with him, no matter what, since he had just been revived. So he told Yui that he didn't understand the situation and warned him that if he didn't form a contract, he would destroy this world. But Yui was in dismay as a plastic bag had landed on his face, so he recalled his boss scolding him and told King Wendom that this world deserved to be destroyed. So King Wendom started to cast his skill and told Yui to watch his true power, and a massive energy burst is erupting in the sky. While Yui closes his eyes as he delighted that King Wendom destroy the world, so he couldn't pay back his loan anymore. Yui noticed something and opened his eyes as he wondered why he wasn't dead yet. Upon checking the egg, He was confused that King Wendom was already inside the egg, so he quickly shook the egg, trying to wake him up, after many attempts, and it didn't work. Then he pulled out his phone, took a picture of him, as he decided to post it, as he thought that King Wendom was definitely from the spirit world, and hoping that his owner will show up. Later on the same time, Yui had already reached his home. As he entered, his room was completely messy, so he sat down and turned his PC on. Yui was surprised that there was a message already. As he opened, the spirit commented, thanking him that it was his family member who was suffering in a difficult environment. But Yui realized that even the spirit world was struggling as well, as he noticed that those BFA people he saw on the subway didn't seem very nice either. Suddenly, his phone was ringing, causing him to be surprised, so Yui answered it and asked if she was the owner of the egg, and informed her that he was at his home and she could pick it up right away. As he hung up the call, Yui felt sad for the spirit that they even had a harsh in any world. Then he looked at King Wendom as he understood why he went crazy, and assured him that his family will be here soon, as he advised him to do his best for his own. Not long after, a knock caused his attention to be shifted there, while he was surprised that they were already there. So Yui quickly went to the door as he pondered that they could travel faster using spirit power. Thus he checked it first using the peephole, and to his surprise a beautiful woman was waiting outside, due to the mixed emotions, as he thought that she was an old that he didn't expected that she was a young captive beautiful woman. So Yui quickly rushed out on something, while Mio heard a weird noises coming inside. As the door opened, it appeared that Yui changed his attire into a formal one with roses on his mouth, and Yui tried to riz her, saying he know you've been through hell, and maybe more. But if you ever need strength, he's got more than enough to share. And if marriage ever crosses your mind, he's right here, ready to give you a dream life anytime, with him of course. While Yui was talking, Mio swung her fist, aiming at him, and to his surprise, the rose that he'd been holding was shattered in midair, which made Yui surprised, and to his shock, he noticed the logo of the BFA was on her jacket and realized she was from the BFA. Yui got panicked and told Mio that they needed to talk, but Mio didn't listen. Instead, she cast her power as an icy spike appeared, and she quickly struck it towards him, causing Yui to be pinned to the wall. After seeing it, Yui got scared, realizing that Mio was serious, as he tried to tell her that pain always comes before happiness. That even as she was working in BFA, she can't just kill people so easily. While she raised her hand, but Yui didn't know what to do as he screamed help out loud. But Mio already got the egg, causing him to wonder what the BFA trying to protect, while Mio busy checking on the egg. Yui slipped out of his jacket, as he told Mio not to brag too much and warned her not to take the egg. But then an elderly woman suddenly appeared at the door, asking if it was the kind person, which Yui asked if she was the one who contacted him earlier, but the elderly woman was confused instead. She walks closer of Teehee Mio, telling her it was her master. But the Mio was astonished by the elderly woman's immense spirit power. She was taken aback, and Yui was confused what she was doing as he demanded to return the egg. Yui held her arm and telling her that he understood about her mission, but she shouldn't hurting innocent people. Suddenly, blood was dripping on his mouth as pain running through his veins, and to his surprise a root of a tree stabbed on his chest. So Yui turned around with full of confusion of his mind, while the elderly woman told him that BFA would be get around again. That spirit egg originally belongs to the spirit world, and it will be best of the BFA didn't stick to this situation. Meanwhile, the Mio looked at the wound of Yui as her face looked worried. Thus Yui pondered how the elderly woman could kill people easily. But then the elderly woman pushed Yui away in just one stroke. Then the elderly woman warned her that it will be the fate of those who interfere with the spirit mafia. While our poor boy started to felt disgust about the spirit mafia, that his life means nothing to them, as he questioned them, does having a power mean could do whatever you want? The elderly woman formed her hand into a branch of a tree, demanded the Mio to hand it over. Fortunately, the Mio managed to dodge her attack, as she repositioned herself and thought that this battle was useless, as she needed to go back on the HQ as soon as possible. So she jumped on the window near her, but the elderly woman blocked the window using her nature-type skill. So the Mio cast her icy spike skill and struck it to the branches, but the branches already scattered all over while Mio had no choice but to fight back on the elderly woman, and the elderly woman advised that if she wanted to get out, she needed to defeat her first. So the Mio summoned his icy spikes behind her, but within a second all of her icy spikes shattered into pieces, and she mocked Mio that she was weak. Thus the Mio managed to dash at her back, aiming her sword at her, but the elderly woman noticed her and managed to block her attack using a wood wall. Then she asked her if That all she can do. But then her sword shattered, then the Mio sliced the wooden wall into two, causing the elderly woman to distance herself. Meanwhile, the face of the elderly woman started to rip, which she noticed, and not long after, the face of her slowly teared up, and the face of a man could be seen. Then as its skin completely shed off, a man with glasses appeared, assuring himself that it's gonna be fine, while the Mio was surprised as she was familiar on his face. Thus he introduced himself as Carl, that he was the one of the spirit mafias for heavenly killers, as Carl put an evil smirk on his face. The Mio clearly understood why the elderly woman was strong, and as she started to question herself, what was important about that egg? So Carl clarified that she had already seen his face, so he informed her that he couldn't let her live as he demanded to return the egg. And the Mio noticed that the vine was already clinging to her calves, so Carl rushed towards her as he swung his walking stick, saying he will kill her. Thus she managed to slice the vine quickly, but then a gigantic thorn was striking at her, causing her to be stunned. But then Yui quickly rushed and used his body to block those spikes. But Yui slowly fell to the ground, while the Mio still couldn't believe that he did that for her. As he fell, she quickly grabbed Yui, and Yui stated that he just thought that he had to leave something behind before he died. While Mio was panicked that he was bleeding so much, she realized that she could use his spirit power, at least it's create some blood to slow his bleeding. But for now she didn't know if she could save Yui and couldn't let herself to leave him like that, so she started to kiss Yui to collect the DNA she needed to make blood, causing Yui to be surprised, while Carl got annoyed as he called her out that he was still there. Then Carl stared to summon his skill, mocking the humans that they were weak, and told her that Yui couldn't survive at that rate. Thus Carl removed the wooden spike, causing for Yui to bleed more. Then Carl struck the wooden spike towards her, but she managed to avoid it. But Carl attacked the Mio using his wooden stick, as he advised her that if she just hand over the egg that he would spare their life. Meanwhile, Yui felt the coldness of his body, that he couldn't move high finger anymore. So Yui wondered if he was going to die, but he considered himself lucky that he get a kiss at the end. As Yui was reminiscing the time they kissed together, someone was calling him in a distance. Yui was overjoyed by it as he started acting weird and demanded another kiss from her, and the man told him that he needed to listen. Turns out it was King Wendom as he slapped Yui out, saying that he was disgusting. Because of that, Yui woke up holding his cheeks and wondering if he had already made it to heaven. So Yui quickly turned around as he complained that why King Wendom was in front of him. But King Wendom demanded him to stop messing around. Then he turned Yui's head around and explained that it was a real world, but his body has died. So Yui asked where are they, and King Wendom explained that he extracted his soul from what he are perceiving as a different dimension. So Yui asked if he needed to go back later, but King Wendom told him that his body died already, and soon his soul will disappear, as well that there's only one way to save him. Hearing it, a ray of hope could be seen on him, stating that he didn't want to die yet. So King Wendom told him that he must form a contract with him, as he assured that his body will recover with the power of a spirit. But Yui expressed that he hates spirits, but he couldn't trade his life for that feeling, which King Wendom agreed, and assured him that once he got his spirit power, he wouldn't regret it. So Yui asked about the cost about it, and King Wendom guaranteed Yui that he didn't want any payment, that he only needed to make a contract. But Yui still doubting him that he couldn't let it slide. Then he came at an idea that might the cost of it was his soul. But deep inside, King Wendom described Yui as a hard one, that he had chose him because it happened to run into him, right? He was reincarnated and had no choice about it. So King Wendom clarified that he will gradually become more intertwined with the spirit world, and his relationship with spirits would become inseparable, and Yui's mind wanted to be revived, no matter what, so he finally accepted his contract, causing King Wendom to be delighted. But Yui asked if there is a contract paper, as he suggested that it would be nice to a signature and a seal about it. But King Wendom explained that it's not exist in the spirit world. So Yui asked how he was gonna make the contract, and King Wendom elaborated that spirit world has its own way of doing things, as his hair started to grow longer and slowly clinging on him. So Yui confusingly asked what he was doing, but King Wendom told him to be quiet and stay still. As the ritual started, Yui complained that UT hurts, asking him to release him. Meanwhile, in the real world, the Mio was tied up using Carl's nature spirit skill, but she managed to slice it in half. As she repositioned herself, she expected that Carl was strong because he was one of the 4 heavenly kings, and even her elemental affinities were a bad match, as she realized that used too much of her spirit power trying to save Yui earlier. Then Carl got annoyed and described her that she was persistent, and ask if she was even a human, so he summoned his wooden spike and quickly strike it towards her, causing her to be surprised. So she quickly summoned her skill to block those attacks. Suddenly the wooden spikes was burned as fire appeared, causing them to be surprised, and the Mio was surprised seeing a fire attribute. Then a voice suddenly spoke up and told Carl it's not about persistence. As they turned around, both of them was flabbergasted as their face was full of confusions. And turns out that Yui was completely alive, as Wounds was slowly regenerating while he told Carl that he must win her over with your charm. The Mio quickly asked if Yui was okay, and Yui was able to rise again and told her that he was there to collect as he thought it would end like that. Then Yui asked if he could get a little kiss as a reward for saving her life, which annoyed her. On the other side, Carl got infuriated and asked how Yui could be alive if he formed a contract with a spirit, since the only spirit there was that egg. As Carl kept wondering if Yui really formed a contract with spirit, then Yui confidently admitted that he did. Upon hearing it, Carl was in disbelief since his mission was to retrieve the spirit egg, and now it's bonded with a human. So he decided to fight back and told him that he needed to forcibly break the contract they made as he struck the wooden spike towards them. Yui didn't know what to do thanks to the Mio. She cast her skill to block those attacks, while Yui was like a little kitty-scared cat covering his head. Then Carl rushed towards, mocking him that he was weak as he swung his wooden stick, but she managed to avoid and uses the wooden stick to jump out of that space. Then she used her skill again to temporarily imprison Carl, as she turned around and asked Yui what skill did he use earlier as she demanded to use it. But Yui refused to use it since he was new at it. Upon hearing it, the Mio was in disbelief and asked if he didn't learn how to use his skills from the spirit, as she knew that fire attribute attack was not something a beginner should able to produce. So Yui pulled out King Wendom and demanded to teach him how to use his spirit power, and King Wendom advised that he could do whatever he wished. So Yui clarified, what does he mean anything size, he couldn't do anything. Thus King Wendom explained that he already done it once, as he needed to channel and use the power like he did before, and King Wendom thought him that he must imagine how he want to use that power, and then he will realize that image for him. Then the Mio asked what about his attribute, which Yui left clueless about what she just said. So she explained when contracting with a human, it's generally a natural attribute. That's because the characteristic of an attribute is being able to convert natural energy, and he could tell the characteristic because he could feel the natural energy, and Yui described that his attribute was fire and hers was water, as he felt that they were partners. And the Mio told him that he produced a flower before, as he suspected that he has a wood attribute. Thus she asked what was his real attribute. Suddenly, the ice had shattered into pieces, causing their attention to be shifted, and Carl confessed that he was even more surprised than he expected, as the ice completely shattered and told him that it wouldn't be enough to beat him. Then Yui raised his hands and tried his power. Then a gigantic ice had appeared where Carl was imprisoned again, while Carl was screaming in pain, as blood was dripping outside of the ice and it's doing damage. Then the Mio asked if Yui copied his power, but Yui explained that he just imagined the power from before and was able to do it. So in her thoughts she was amused that it came without a full briefing, as she knew he was special, that she never seen a spirit that could freely manipulate the power of nature. But then a root of a tree suddenly came out of the ice. Then it completely shattered into pieces, and it appeared that Carl was severely injured. Then Yui told her that he will protect, as he advised her to stand back, which made her confused. Thus Yui assured her that he already understand how to use his power. Meanwhile, Carl was more infuriated, telling him not to be cocky, that he was sure that Yui will beg for him. So he summoned his wooden spike and strike it to them. So Yui think about an image again, as the spike was getting closer to them. And the Mio was panicking as she asked if Yui was okay, and she started to doubted Yui if he could do it. And then both the Mio and Carl was surprised about what they were seeing, and it appeared that the wooden spike was blocked by a box-shaped figure, while Yui proudly told Carl that never underestimate his imagination. Thus Yui summoned another batch of his keyboard darts and strike it towards Carl, but he managed to block it, while Carl was confused what Yui doing. But then Yui summoned another skill again, as he was spinning on something while he was walking closer to Carl. Then he smashed it on the wall that Carl he made, causing him to be surprised. Then Yui swung the gigantic plug towards Carl, but Carl managed to avoid it as his mind was full of questions. So Yui summoned the keyboard darts again and proudly announced that it was the power of a corporate slave. So he struck it towards Carl, but Carl managed to build a wooden wall again to block those darts, as Carl didn't still understood it. So Yui confidently explained that it was the power of a corporate slave, as he called him stupid. the Yui controlled the darts to attack Carl behind. And Yui successfully strike on Carl, which Yui was delighted while the Mio asked if they defeated Carl. But Carl managed to block those attack as he summoned the wooden spikes in his body. So she warned Yui that Carl was not an ordinary enemy. And due to anger, Carl screamed so loud that the wooden spikes pulled out. But Yui got scared again, and the Mio managed to protect them as she asked if he couldn't defend himself. So she realized that no matter how strong the spirit power was, Yui was still a beginner with no combat experience. Thus he focused herself while the ice was started to floating. On the other side, Carl was in disbelief that he was wounded by a beginner like him while he unleashed a massive vine on his palm, and a massive vines was approaching on them. So Yui warned her to be careful, but the Mio sensed a really strong energy coming from him. Surprisingly, Yui summoned the gigantic plug earlier and used it to cling to those vines, but then Carl's power was too strong, and even the Mio stated that her water wouldn't work against the wood attribute, as she advised that must use his fire attribute. So Yui closed his eyes as he kept repeating the word lighter. Then he managed to summon the fire attribute as he started to burn the vines. But Carl was confident, mocking his attribute, that his power was a high-grade weapon and it wouldn't burn easily, while he summoned another batch of wooden spikes and strike it towards them. But Yui and the Mio managed to dodge those attacks. Then Yui stated that he was not scared, whatever he would throw an attack, but Yui doubted that if they even had weapons, it would be useless, so they needed to attack him directly, which she agreed about what Yui said, since the spirit power must nearing its limit as well. So Yui decided to push his plans and told the Mio to watch. Suddenly are summoned a 500 kilogram of printer. He rushed towards Carl as he swung his gigantic plug and ordered Carl to surrender, but Carl used his wooden stick to block his attack. But little did he know that it was a bait, as the plug was already clinging to his body. The plug contains a massive electric on it, and Yui threatened Carl that he will electrocute him to death. Then Yui activated it. Carl was confident that his bark skin was protected by its own bark, and electric shock of this level wouldn't hurt him. So the Mio knew it's a sign. So she cast her water skill and throw it towards to Carl, causing him to be electrocuted, and not long after Carl was defeated as he was fall on the ground, while Yui asked if he did well, which she agreed. So Yui complimented their combination, but the Mio suggested that they need to find out his motive, who's giving him orders, and various other things, as she decided to take Carl on the HQ. Suddenly, Carl's wooden stick started to float, and it carried Carl as well. Then the Mio was surprised that it was going outside, knowing it while the spirit tree's main body. So she turned around to Yui and told him that they were going after it, but Yui was going to fell down, which she noticed. Then she quickly catch Yui and help him to balance as she asked if he was okay. Out of the blue, Yui choked the Mio, causing her to be startled. The Mio suspected that Yui might have lost his sense of self. Then Yui pushed her away, while she thought that Yui's spiritual power was weakening as well. Then the egg suddenly rolled off the floor, causing her attention to be shifted to it, and Yui quickly rushed toward her as he swung his fist, but the Mio managed to avoid Yui's attack. She flipped her body and reached the egg on the ground. As she stood up, she notices that Yui's spirit should know something, and planned to stop him first. Then Yui immediately attacked her, as he dared her to head on him. So she started to form a circle and isolate Yui inside, while Yui was banging the wall aggressively, asking what she was doing. So she quickly asked King Wendom about Yui's situation right now, and King Wendom explained that Yui let his guard down when the enemy fled and lost consciousness, and she was amused that Yui could be able to move that much with just the power left in his body. Then she realized that Yui could unleash much more power, so she asked King Wendom if who is he, but King Wendom asked her why she was chasing him, which irritated her as she summoned in sharp shape ice aiming at King Wendom. So King Wendom stated T-hat he didn't know as well. Even he was killed by humans and reincarnated and awakened, which she asked if he was sure about it, and King Wendom assured her that it's all true. So she warned him that if he was lying he would regret it, and decided that she will believed on him for now since they made already a contract, and it's better to stick together, and she was confident that he wouldn't be able to live in this room for a while. But she told King Wendom to come with her to the BFA headquarters. So King Wendom understood, and he thanked her for her concern, that his spirit's power hasn't fully returned, as he was scared that people might targeted him, so she looked at Yui as she needed to quite. Thus she electrocuted him, which made King Wendom realize that she was terrifying and not better to mess her. On the other side, inside the tree, Carl was still unconscious, and a voice spoke up, asking why he couldn't hold back, and it appeared a Groot-like figure was in front of him as he told Carl that he was lucky that he helped him to get out of that situation or he will become ashes, which made him mad that he run into an opponent that even Carl couldn't handle it. So he shake Carl's head and asked if heard anything about him from the chairman, and Carl ordered him to stop doing it since he was injured. So Carl explained that he was told to pursue the egg, that he didn't know the details, but Groot knew that chairman might be hiding something. Then Carl got infuriated that Yui defeated him just like that, as he assured that next time he will crush him in an instant. Suddenly he felt a sharp pain on his arm, and Groot got annoyed that he was overconfident but getting beaten by a beginner. Then Groot told Carl that he must recover his strength as soon as possible and he needed to go to the basement and report to the chairman. Then Groot told Carl that he will fuse the tree roots on his body as it was started to sucking the nutrients on the subterranean tree, and they both smirk as Groot promised Carl that he will avenge him, and the tree where they were in suddenly dried as leaves started to fall. Meanwhile, Yui sneezes, and it causes him to be awake, as he complains that the temperature was cold, and not long after, he notices the strange ceiling above him. So he quickly sat down and became confused since it wasn't his house. But then King Wendom spoke up, stating that he probably couldn't go home anymore. Then he immediately grabbed King Wendom's egg and asked what happened to his place, since that house he worked so hard to buy it, and King Wendom described it as a disaster. Suddenly, someone stepped into the room, telling him that he don't need to be worried about his room, and it appeared it was the Mio earlier, and said that he will be living where he was right now, while another woman was on her back. Turns out it was the vice director of the BFA, as she introduced Yui on her, causing Yui to be panicked. But our boy Yui complained that they must knock first to show some manners. Then he sneezes again, as he told them he might catch a cold, and the vice director whispered, stating that her head's gone weird too, as she asked if she overdid it a little, which made her startled, and explained that she wasn't her. But she had a thought that she'd must have to cool them down a bit, and she suspected that she might overdo the chilling. So Yui got annoyed and told them that he could hear them. So Yui asked who are they and where is this place, and if they going compensate him for his room. Then the BFA vice director introduced herself as Hanabusa Kiko, and explained that he was in the BFA headquarters, as she assured that they will compensate him. And Yui was delighted that all of his questions were answered and decided to trust Kiko. And the Mio explained that Yui was being pursued by the spirit mafia, and it's dangerous for him to go back. That BFA will protect him no matter what. Then Yui stood up and moved closer to her as he asked why the BFA protect him for no reason. So she clarified that BFA is charge of spirit incidents in the human world, and it's only natural for them to protect him since he got caught up in this. So Yui sat back again and clarified that they were not after his power and asked if they were planning him to use as test subject. Then the Mio told him not to mock them by his petty standards, that they had always maintained the balance between humanity and spirits, and they never harmed humans or spirits. As she was talking, Kiko suddenly interrupted her and asked Yui if he even understand his own power, as she knew that Mio's acting differently than usual, that she was not being calm with this kid. Then Yui paused as he tried think about on something. So he called King Wendom out and asked what power he has, and King Wendom simply stated that he was the Spirit King, and his power of materialization is the strongest spirit's power in the world, which Yui made surprised as he thought that King Wendom were starting to go senile, causing King Wendom to get annoyed. So Yui asked if he had that kind of power. There was nothing to be afraid, as he suggested to crush both BFA and the mafia. But King Wendom explained that he was a fledgling spirit user, and Yui couldn't even wield 1% of the power of materialization yet, that he just revived and haven't fully regained his power yet, and he added that since they were being chased by the spirit mafia, it's better to have a place to have, and he suggested Yui that he must need time and place to master his power, as he described his last battle was luck, and Yui just teased him. Thus King Wendom decided that they must stay at BFA a while, and ordered him not to expose him as the Spirit King since it caused trouble. Meanwhile, Mio showed a little concern about Yui and asked Kiko what he was muttering about, but Kiko suggested to let him be, as she was assured that Yui could do harm on them anyway. Then Yui quickly turned around and told them about his power, so he explained that the spirit already started going to senile and doesn't even know what his own power, as he didn't know either. Upon hearing it, Mio reacted and stated that it was a lie, as she suspected that spirit was hiding something and it must know everything. But Yui insisted that all of what he said was true, as he described it a kind of mutation-related power, while Kiko was in disbelief that she didn't heard that kind of attribute, as she knew it couldn't underestimate it and she must observe it for a while. So Kiko opened the tablet as she didn't expected that it would ended up with something like this. Thus she thought it would be easy if Yui had a parents as well, and Yui kept insisting that he really didn't know the answer. So Kiko ordered them to stop since it was useless if they kept repeating those questions. Then Yui stood up and told her that he was going home since he worked hard for that house, and Kiko told him that he must stay at BFA. But Yui continued to walk out of the room as he explained that they destroyed his house, and he didn't know what BFA is trying to do on him, and he will not allow to study his power for free. So Kiko assured him that BFA will cover all losses, causing Yui to be delighted since it was part of his plan. So he turned around and asked how much they will compensate him, and Kiko announced that it's worth $200 million, which made Yui to be more excited. So he turned around again and asked King Wendim if they were some kind of group of overflowing with money, and King Wendim explained that they were the only ones in this country who take requests from the government, and didn't deny that they have money. Then Yui asked how does a newborn like him know all of that. Thus King Wendim explained that he could understand what was happening outside even while he was in the egg. So Yui turned around and confidently accepted that money, that his life would be secure of that amount, but Kiko said that was not all, and told him that his salary will be $20 million a year, and there are incentives and bonuses as well, explaining that his power was very rare, and they really want him to become a member of BFA. Hearing it, Yui was surprised and wondered how many years of his salary is that, as he complimented the BFA is the best. Then Yui stated that he will accept it, but he must check the contract carefully for any loopholes, so Kiko assured him to take his time to check if there are no problems as they provide a house as well. While Yui continued reading on the papers, he chuckled that it was a huge score, and Kiko agreed since they have requests from their side as well, and based on custom, they'd have to test Yui first, which made Yui confused. Not long after, they headed on a place where it was huge, and Yui wondered what kind of place he was in. As he notices it was huge, then he grabbed King Wendim as he harshly shake its egg, and asked if he was not planning to kill him with some special power, but King Wendim ordered him to stop since he was getting dizzy. On the other side, Mio announced that this room was to test and confirm his attribute and ran. So Yui asked if there is no any danger to his life, causing Kiko to be more curious about him. So he pressed the button and told Yui that they were going to start. Suddenly, Yui called them out and asked what the point of the gun was, as the machine guns were aiming at him, and it started to heat up, so Yui got panicked as he started begging them just to listen to him. So Mio suggested that they could give him a little time, and Kiko was in disbelief that Yui was scared of something like that and called him pathetic. So Kiko decided to stop it, and immediately the machine gun automatically stopped, and it made Yui to relieved. Then King Wendim asked if he was a real man as why he was easily getting intimidated just like that, and Yui arrogantly asked if he was on the situation what would he know about it. Thus Yui asked Kiko and Mio how the test works, and if his life needs to be in danger. So Kiko explained it was the BFA's highest rank spirit energy measurement system, and it attacks him with 5 types of basic attributes and examines his reactions, causing Yui to be confused. So Kiko looks at Mio and asked if Yui really didn't know about spirit attributes, and Mio admitted it called herself as an idiot. Thus Kiko told Yui that she must explain it first. There are 5 elements called metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Most spirits' powers come from these. For variant spirit energies, there are organic materials too, like rubber, plastic, or glass, and generally spirit users who make a contract with spirits are divided into 5 ranks: beginner, low, intermediate, advanced, special, and newbies usually start at beginner and raise their spirit through training. And the higher the spirit's energy, the stronger the ability after contract. And Yui's spirit is strong, and he had talent as well, and that's why he gained strong power right after contracting, as Kiko ended that explanation and told Yui that the test will begin, and Yui ordered to stop as he didn't ask what he need to do. But then Mio couldn't hold any longer as she was rushed on the mic and suggested Yui to stop it already since he already wasted too much time on the test, which Yui and King Wendim covered their ears due to the loud noise. And Yui quickly asked King Wendim if Mio uses her voice attack, and King Wendim simply stated that she was just mad about him. Thus, Yui begged them to show him how to do it since he didn't know anything, and Kiko told Mio that he was still a beginner and ordered her to show him an example, but Mio annoyed and asked why she needed to, which Kiko explained that she was the one who brought Yui here and he was her responsibility. But Mio stated that she only brought Yui because of the mission and it must the organization should take care of him. So Kiko had no choice but offer Mio a 10% of the rewards from the missions he completes in the future as her share, which she quickly accepted. While Mio was getting out of the room, Kiko scratched her head describing the kids are tough these days. Not long after, Mio had arrived where Yui was, and Mio instructed Yui to watch carefully since she only doing it once, and Yui thanked her. So Mio prepared herself and told Kiko that she was ready, and Kiko announced the difficulty was set on Mio's special rank, as she ordered Yui to evacuate to the next room, and as soon Yui entered the room, he looked at the other side where the machine gun was wondering if they were not using those. Suddenly his suspicious turned right as the machine gun started to heat up again, causing him to be scared, and not long after the blow a massive fire towards Mio, and she was not unfazed at all, while Yui thankful that he escaped temporarily. So Mio activated her skill as she was build a water to defend herself. As the fire surrounded her, at the back, Yui was amused about what he was saying, and King Wendam described that Mio perfectly mastered the spirit's power. Then she controlled her water attribute above, and it splashed on the machine guns causing them to get wet, and Kiko called Mio out and told her not to break those since it was the most expensive system, and Mio quickly turned around as she wasn't satisfied about it. Then Kiko announced about the attack switch. So Mio cast her water attribute again, and a massive water formed into a wave had appeared. Meanwhile Yui was surprised and described it as a disaster-level tsunami. Thus Mio unleashed and half of the room was filled with water. Then Yui asked Mio if the wave already settled, and Mio stated that she knows since she was water attribute. All of a sudden, a bunch of woods had appeared, and Mio knew it was a wood attribute, and for her OT was the most troublesome attribute, and a sharp wooden spike was approaching on her. But Mio managed to build a water shield enough to protect herself. Meanwhile, Yui observes that the water attribute was effective against the fire attribute, as he wondered if it was effective on the wood attribute as well. On the other side, Kiko put that attribute on purpose to see Mio's growth. But then, Mio notices that the test was getting serious as a massive root of a tree started to cling on her shield. After seeing it, Yui recalled their last fight and called it a bad memory for him. So Mio cast her water skill above and released icy spikes as it cut, and she successfully cut those roots that around her. While Kiko was amazed that Mio proven herself that she was strong, on the other side, Yui was clapping his hands as she was astonished by Mio's skills. After that, Yui turned on King Wendam and complimented Mio's assassin's skill as he asked that Mio was kinda dangerous. And King Wendam told him that he only beat Carl because of her, and he must thank Mio since she was the one why Carl's spirit energy was weakened, and normally wood attribute isn't weak to lightning, but because Mio's water attribute the electric shock worked, and he advised Yui not be cocky. After that, Mio proudly stood up on the dead roots on the ground, but then she smirked as she has plan on her mind. Then she cast an icy spikes as she strike it towards to the machine guns, which surprised herself as well. Unfortunately for Mio, Kiko immediately activate those guns, and it melt those icy spikes causing her to get annoyed. So Kiko scolded Mio, reminded her not to break it, and she called out Yui's name if he already understand the test, and reminded him that it his turn next. Then inside of the facility started to clean those mess inside, and Yui was amused at the technology, and not long after, Mio stepped outside, and Yui quickly complimented her skill as he asked how did he get that strong. But Mio just felt annoyed at Yui, and then Yui looked at those machine guns and admitted that he was seriously scared about the test, but King Wendam reminded him that he already used his spirit's power. Thus Yui insisted that normal humans get scared, but then couldn't handle it anymore, and told Yui that she will teach him imagine creating a barrier with his power, since his ability could handle all natural types, and for his power should change the attack. So Yui already got the idea as he willing to tried it, so Yui clarified if it's like wrapping himself in a bowl. But then Yui suddenly stopped as he felt something was off, and he found out that it is unstable. So King Wendam advised him that he must control the output evenly with his power, when all of a sudden, the barrier that he creates suddenly popped as he panicked and told King Wendam that it was hard. On the other side, Kiko called out Yui's name and asked if he was ready as they started at the intermediate spirit power test. So Yui told her that he is not ready yet, but Kiko already pressed the button. The machine gun already blow a massive fire toward him. As the fire was approaching, Yui panically think of a bowl, while King Wendam ordered him to hurry up and defend himself. And surprisingly a gigantic bound had appeared where Yui was, and it helped him to defend himself. After seeing it, Kiko and Mio was stunned that Yui summoned a porcelain, while Yui asked if his plan was okay, which King Wendam considered it since he was defending as well. So Kiko called Yui again and announced that she will raise the test to a special rank as she pressed the handle upwards. Inside, Yui scratched his head and asked if he felt the hotness inside the porcelain, and King Wendom complained he felt like being cooked alive. Suddenly, Yui came up with an idea as he told King Wendom that he had to Google a plan. Meanwhile, Kiko pressed the special button, and the strong lasers had appeared and strike on his porcelain, causing Yui to be surprised that